Hey everyone, my name is Tamise Thompson. I'm the founder of Black Event Professionals Arizona. And I want to thank you so much for taking out time to learn more about BEPA, our organization, as well as our volunteer-led opportunities within the organization. Just remember that this video will be timestamped. So if you do want to skip to different sections, if you're interested in a particular position, please feel free to do so. And just know that you can always reach me at any time at tamise@blackeventprofessionals.org. If you have any questions about a particular role, responsibility, or how you can volunteer, donate, sponsor, or be a part of our vision. Okay? And thank you for coming. And we're going to talk about empowering connections and breaking barriers. This is an inside look at our mission, vision, and impact at BEPA. You guys, it all started with free breadsticks and party plans. I personally love Olive Garden. Myself, Jerice Kelly, and Stephanie White got together and we went to Olive Garden to just talk about the state of event planning and its support to other Black event professionals like ourselves. We both had a wealth of knowledge within a community, and I think between all three of us, at least 30 to 40 plus years within the industry as event professionals in Arizona. And what we noticed is that there is a gap in what our experiences were, and we wanted to see about creating a society dedicated to the networking and growth of other Black event professionals in the state. Thus, Black Event Professionals was established August 22nd, 2022. We achieved our nonprofit status September 3rd, 2024. And that's pretty much where we are today. About our organization, you guys, we're NTEE code S31. So what that means is our nonprofit is created to help the urban and community economic development. We're all about dedicating ourselves to the networking and training needs of Black media professionals in Arizona. We provide networking opportunities, connecting with each other, building best practices, professional development and workshops, from educational seminars to how to create and build your own LLC or even your own nonprofit organization like BEPA. And we also create resources for economic success, because what we do know is the Black dollar is 15 cents on the American dollar. And the best way to create economic success is to educate ourselves on how to be economically prosperous and create a legacy for our future. Our commitment is supporting Black professionals in the meeting, conferences, exhibitions, and convention sectors. Our mission and vision is clear. We want to assist 100,000 Black media professionals in Arizona through networking, workshops, and valuable resources by 2036. Our vision is clear: to become a resource center addressing the diverse needs of Black event professionals by offering such services like event planning certifications, being able to create a way for our members to get certified meeting planner and certified meeting manager certifications, training and workplace trauma counseling, diversity, equity, inclusion focused education with the tools to show how to navigate the workplace. I personally believe that diversity, equity, and inclusion is not something that we will force down others' throat and teach them how to treat us, instead of approaching diversity, equity, and inclusion internally and developing the tools on how to navigate the workplace, how to navigate dealing with other people, how to gain those personal and interdepartmental relationships, and how to grow and overcome adversity internally. Programs overview. Currently, we have 2 amazing programs for Black event professionals in Arizona. We have our Generational Curse Breakers Anonymous. What is it? Well, I noticed that we have a lot of groups across the world that we can connect with other people and share best practices. But I didn't really notice a group that we can get together without any agenda items, without any business, and just talk about what it's like to break generational curses. This is unique. Because typically, if you're a Black event professional and you're a business owner, or you may be embarking on something, more often than not, you are typically a curse breaker, and you are doing something that maybe other people that you grew up around or your family had done. Or maybe you grew up around a house full of mechanics and people who work in a different industry, and you're the first one breaking out as an event professional. Maybe you're the first person that graduated college and is creating economic success within yourself. Maybe you're one of the very few people who have a decent credit score, and you're trying to break that glass ceiling. And it's very hard to talk to family and friends and other groups that you're coming out of that don't have that shared understanding. So Generational Curse Breakers Anonymous is an anonymous group where we get together and we share best practices, and we just vent and talk about the wins and some of the adversities of being a curse breaker. Maybe you purchased your mom or your dad a brand new car. Maybe you have a cousin or a family member that told you that you think that you're better than everybody because you wouldn't loan them $500, right? Who knows? And that's what this group is about. It's a focus group that's informal, and you'll be able to log in anytime. Obviously in the future, that's our goal, having a 24-hour almost support line to help build best practices. We're going to talk about things like the Black tax, adversities in the workplace, and we're focused on promoting mental health and breaking the glass ceiling. Okay. The other program that we have, and I'm extremely excited about, is the Generational Curse Breakers GCB CMP Scholarship Program. As an event professional, I didn't know about certified meeting planners until about maybe 2-3 years ago. And this is a pivotal, certification. This certification not only enhances the opportunities that you would get for employment and, help your personal development, but the certified meeting planner and certified meeting manager states that you actually are someone that is an expert in the event field. Well, this scholarship program is a reimbursement program that allows someone who is, has exuded excellence in the events industry, that have gone to get their certified meeting planner or certified meeting manager certification, which it's pretty expensive. To get that certification, it's an average of, on a higher end of $800 with the books and everything. It can easily be $900 to up to $1,000. And this is what this scholarship program is for. It's designed to reimburse someone who has gone through the process or is about to embark on going into the process of getting their certified meeting planner or certified meeting manager certification. And what the scholarship does is, once you've successfully completed your certified meeting planner or certified meeting manager, you can either apply before or after, and we let you know whether or not you've qualified to receive the scholarship. And upon, successfully passing the exam and paying for those costs yourself, we will reimburse you. What do you do with that money? Well, you can either use that money to reimburse yourself, or that's an investment that we've made in you to do something for yourself to further, your education. So really, really, really excited for that program. And if you guys are interested in being a part of that, whether it's helping on a committee or donating, please go to our website, blackeventprofessionals.org, and there's more information about that. But the Generational Curse Breakers CMP Scholarship Program is focused on removing barriers to professional advancements. At this moment, we're not accepting any applications, but as soon as we get to the place where we are raising enough funds and we've onboarded the right amount of people, I am so excited to see us award so many people through this scholarship program. Membership. Well, Black Event Professionals of Arizona, and I'm going to just go ahead and start saying BEPA when I can. But BEPA is a member organization. What this means is that membership is a fee that is paid annually, And all of our members have access to all of those programs like Generational Curse Breakers Anonymous. They have access to apply for the scholarship like the Generational Curse Breakers CMP scholarship program, right? And let's just talk about membership today. When we first got started in 2022, I created a Facebook group and we started to grow. BEPA currently is in the startup stage and it's growing its network. So we currently have about 1,900 Facebook group members, and we've just launched our paid membership program. Current pricing right now for our paid membership is set at $24 a year, and I believe $19 for students. And this is temporary, as this will increase as programs and services expand. What that amount is and how we evolve and grow will only be decided by our board of directors, and we're getting those people in. So at the current time, if you do want to support, we do have that membership. We don't have a lot of our programs launched, but that money will go directly to getting our programs launched, as well as having a resource library for membership, where you'd have access to all of our seminars, our annual conference sessions, and it's just a wealth of knowledge that we will have available. Membership benefits. You will have an opportunity to showcase services and brands at our BEPA events by being a member. We will be having different tiered memberships, but again, we're just getting started. And this is why I need people like you who believe in this mission, because you get to help guide what we're going to do as an organization. Also, membership is access to professional development opportunities, as well as participation in signature events, as well as conferences and other networking opportunities. Obviously, you get a membership fee that's discounted rate versus someone who's not a member. Fundraising a revenue plan. Well, you guys know we're a nonprofit organization, and we have our mission to help 100,000 Black event professionals by 2036. Well, how are we going to do this? And this is our plan currently. We generate our revenue by hosting signature events like our annual conference and networking events. We create fundraisers to support programs and our scholarships. We also have some really cool future plans, you guys. We're going to expand fundraising opportunities to include additional educational events, as well as DEI training sessions and workplace trauma counseling initiatives. The workplace counseling initiatives is something that's near and dear to my heart. I do believe that everyone should have access to some level of counseling. And so being able to have that workplace trauma counseling initiatives is going to be really big, but we want to be able to do that. And that costs money to onboard different counselors that work for our organization to be able to assist our members. Now, we're going to get into our board of directors overview. I want to start off to say that the positions, the current roles, the responsibilities, and the terms. This is where we currently are, but all of this will be voted in and validated by our board of directors. So don't come in this organization thinking that everything is, set in stone. When you're a part of this organization at the beginning, the best part about that is you are creating a foundation as to how we're going to move and evolve. And it is our board of directors, it is our volunteers, and it is our organization that creates how we move and how we're going to govern ourselves the future on out. And I love the fact that no role is more than 2-year term at a time. And that means that we're going to constantly evolve and grow, and we're not going to be stagnant, and we're going to constantly bring people in, and there's always going to be a way that we can stay connected. And as an alumni member or board member or volunteer, you can always stay connected to what's near and dear in your heart and try new things. So as the purpose of the board is to provide leadership, guidance, and strategic direction for BEPA. We also ensure programs align with the organization's mission and vision. All right, let's go over the board of directors and team positions. This is an inside look at roles and responsibilities at BEPA. First, we're going to start off with the Office of the President. The Office of the President is comprised of 3 different positions. the president-elect, the immediate past president, and I apologize, it's really 5 positions. And then there's the chief administrative officer and a chief administrative officer elect. Sorry, y'all, I was buffering. But let's go over these positions of the office of the president. First, we have the president. The president's role is the chief spokesperson and leader of BEPA. This person oversees the development and implementation of the strategic business plan from a bird's eye view. At the same time, they are the main chair for the BEPA Annual Awards Committee. Well, what is the BEPA Annual Awards? The BEPA Annual Awards is an annual award ceremony that honors our volunteers, our board of directors, as well as our stakeholders, our benefactors, our sponsors, and our scholarship recipients. This is the time that we honor everyone who believes in this shared mission and has contributed themselves to the success of this organization, as well as our members. The president also is a member of the executive committee. By being a member, that means that you have a voting hand in those meetings. The executive committee is comprised of multiple people at the office of the president, senior vice president, and vice president levels. And the president is also a voting member. So whenever you see member, just think voting member of the board of directors committee. The board of directors committee is comprised of all board members. And I have an organization chart where we'll be able to see that a little more visually after going over all of these positions. Then we have the president-elect, vice president. This person supports the president and steps in as needed. This person's number one role is to train to become the next president. I love this so much because if you can look at this here before I continue on this role, you see the past, the present, and the future working simultaneously on a board to continue the mission going forward. This is something that I've adapted from being a board member at Meeting Professional International. I really love how that organization works in that way, and this is something that I wanted to make sure that we carried on with Black Event Professionals at Arizona. I want to just take a moment and shout out Amber, as well as Mary Ann Whittle and Amber Heard with Meetings Professional International. Those two people were pivotal in me being able to be where I am today, and I am forever grateful, you guys. Just a sidebar. But going back into the role, we're going to talk about the member nominations and governance committee. The president-elect is a member of these committees. The governance committee is all about making sure our bylaws are up to date. So when we vote in these meetings, we're always talking about how we're constantly evolving and changing. Well, when we change positions or we change or modify a role of responsibility or how one department relates to another, all of that is adjusted in our bylaws. And so the president-elect, vice president, is a member of that committee of making sure that those documents are up to date, as well as the committee that adapts and suggests these changes and presents them to the board. The president-elect vice president is also a member of the nominations committee. This is the committee that's all about onboarding and bringing in our future board. That means going through the process of interviewing, voting in on the nominations committee level for anyone who's a senior vice president and vice president, right? As well as bringing the director positions on board and presenting those to the board so that the board can vote for that position. The president-elect also is the second chair for the BEPA Annual Awards Committee. And why is that so? No one other than the president or president-elect who are in leadership roles over the organization, whether it be present or future, they lead by following. And I think it's pivotal that these two people come together and they're responsible for honoring all of our volunteers and all of our committee members and all of our members that are a part of this shared organization. And the president-elect and vice president is a member of the executive committee, as well as they're a voting member of the board of directors committee. Immediate past president, love this role. This person is someone that I will be after my 2-year term, and this person will mentor the president and supports the leadership development. I love this because only the immediate past president, unless you're serving another term, as president-elect or president, understands what it's like to be in the president's position. So being able to show that mentorship is key, especially to the president and the president-elect. The immediate past president is the chair of the governance committee as well as the chair for the nominations committee. They are a member of the executive committee and a member of the board of directors committee. So we have our chief administrative officer and chief administrative officer elect. Let me tell you, as a person who served as an administrative assistant for Liberty Mutual, and for various years of my career development, I would say I spent at least 5 to 7 years in administrative assistant roles. This is near and dear to my heart. These positions are not taken lightly, and that's why these roles are here. So the Chief Administrative Officer manages organizational documents, meeting coordination, and records. This person is pretty much responsible for being the administrative assistant of the Office of the President. That means the president-elect, and immediate past president. This person supervises the Chief Administrative Officer-elect, the CAO-elect, and the administrative team. This means that maybe you'll end up having a committee of other people who are interested in only being administrative assistants. Administrative assistants are amazing, and this can segue into paralegal studies or anything else. So that person would also become the chair of any administrative committees, as well as supervising the Chief Administrative Officer-elect. Their job also is to train the Chief Administrative Officer-elect and get that person ready to be in the Chief Administrative Officer's position. No different than the President-elect will move on into the President's position. And this person is a voting member of the Executive Committee by being a Chief Administrative Officer. That is a higher executive level role. And they're also a voting member of the Board of Directors Committee. Now we have the Chief Administrative Officer-elect. This person provides direct support to the Chief Administrative Officer and prepares to transition into that role. This person assists with organizational documents, meeting preparation, and scheduling. Let me just let you know, these roles, the CEO and the CAO-elect, they are responsible as gatekeepers for making sure that when we bring people into the organization, getting them set up into the right groups through our Google Workspace. We use Google Workspace, as well as giving them permissions on other software that would be on the administrative level. For instance, if we end up having someone who is now onboarded as the Vice President of Education, just for example, this person would make sure that they receive their Google access to be able to be in the role, as well as access to the drives. This person is responsible for keeping all of our meeting minutes, both of these roles, keeping our meeting minutes and keeping all of our organizational documentation up to date and saved. The Chief Administrative Officer-elect also would have a technical acumen as well as the Chief Administrative Officer. But the Chief Administrative Officer-elect, I love this role because they're going to research and implement technology solutions. Well, we have Monday.com currently. We have Salesforce currently. We have a lot of other platforms currently, Adobe, etc. But maybe one platform works better than the other. So it's the Chief Administrative Officer's elect job to research what works and what doesn't work on an administrative level with how our board works within each other. Okay, not speaking to things like marketing, because that's a whole different department, but we're talking about how our board communicates with each other and navigate software with each other. So those type of technology solutions, maybe it would be, for instance, our chat How are we chatting with each other? What platform? You know, are we going to be using Teams? Are we going to be using Google Meets, right? So that would be the Chief Administrative Officer-let's role. They are an attendee to the executive committee because their role isn't an executive level, but they need to be an attendee because it's their job to also learn how to support the team at those executive meetings and the board of directors meetings. But they are a voting member for the board of directors committee. All right. You guys have probably heard me talk about DEI, DEI, and DEI. I do not believe it being just a buzzword, but I do think that some organizations unfortunately try to integrate diversity, equity, and inclusion within a department and within one role, when it really should, how we treat each other and how we create equity, inclusion, and diversity, it should be within the DNA of how an organization works. This is just my personal belief. So with that in mind, we have the diversity, equity, and inclusion department. So starting off in that role, we have the Senior Vice President of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. This person's main focus is to develop and implement DEI strategy from a organizational, bird's eye view outlook. How is our organization moving in the direction? What are our key benchmarks? What are our goals? And are these measurable? What are our measurements to get to these goals? Whether it be surveys, etc. Right? And this person serves as the chair of the DEI committee. Let me tell y'all something about the DEI committee. I love this committee because this committee will be comprised of a member of every single department. Whether it be diversity, equity, inclusion, whether it be our finance department, or whether it be our marketing department. The DEI Senior Vice President is also a member of the executive committee, which means they get a vote at those executive committees as an executive level board member, as well as a voting member of the board of directors committee. Then we have our Vice President of Education. The reason why is because how can we have someone that is doing education that is not a part of making sure that all of our educational programs are satisfying key initiatives of our diverse, equitable, and inclusive initiatives. So our Vice President of Education will oversee all of our free educational programs or minor low fee educational programs. So our workshops and our forums, and we spoke earlier about having a resource library, right? So maybe we'll have different segments of Generational Curse Breakers Anonymous where there's different rooms that aren't anonymous. Maybe those are more open panels, right? And those things will be recorded. So our VP of Education is about overseeing those programs and making sure that those things are accessible, available, and are honed in as to what our members, our stakeholders, and our board envisions. Our VP of Education is the chair, and let me take a moment. I don't think I really explained much about what the chair does. When I say chair, when I speak about committees, that means that person is responsible. That person is the head project manager of the committee. That doesn't mean that they do everything in the committee, but that does mean that they're responsible for the committee. To give you an example, it is very likely that the VP of Education will be over maybe a LinkedIn Live series. Is that person coordinating every detail of the LinkedIn Live series? Probably not, right? The committee there will be a committee that's developed, and there will be a person that will be over that LinkedIn Live series, a volunteer that maybe say, I love teaching LOCs and teaching about EINs and teaching about credit scores. Well, that person comes in as a volunteer, and now they have a LinkedIn Live series all about that, and that may be a monthly or weekly series. Well, as the chair of that committee, the VP of education has to serve as a chair, because that person's going to be having regular meetings, tapping in with that committee member and anyone that they enlist to assist in those committees, people who maybe are journalism majors, right? Or people who are passionate about that. How are these things going? How's everything going? How can I better support you? So the VP of Education's job is to always be, and anyone who's in a VP role, you're going to always be a chair of these committees. You're not always going to do the work, but it may be something that you're passionate about that you would like to do a personal initiative. And I believe in do what works for you, but your responsibility is to also chair and be a part of overseeing those other committees and making sure that those committee members have the support that they need so that they can be successful, so that our members get the best educational opportunities as possible. We also have the VP of Education being the chair of the Speakers Request for Proposal Committee. This is key, because we're going to have a lot of people that are going to want to speak and get their talents out and share their knowledge to other people. Well, we need a process. And whoever is going to hop into this role initially will need to create that process, whether it be the application form, communicating with the speakers. And this committee is big, because any speaker, whether it be for the annual conference, even though that's not this department, but for anything that we're doing, that person is going to go through the Vice President of Education. The Vice President of Education is the gatekeeper for speakers and our Request for Proposal Committee. Does this mean that the Vice President is responsible for validating every speaker? No, there's a committee that does that. But the VP of Education's job is any committee that they chair, bringing those decisions that the committee decides up to the board so that the board can have a final vote, and giving the board enough time to review those speakers. So whatever process this will be, may probably be a director or whatever, so the board will have access to be able to overview and view those speakers, right? And view their credentials and be able to yay or nay at a later meeting. The Vice President of Education is also a member of the Executive Committee, because they are at an executive level as a VP, and they also are a voting member of the Board of Directors Committee. So also in the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Department, you have the Director of Education. The Director of Education and the Social Impact Director work directly under the VP of Education. Understand, the VP of Education role is also to supervise and guide the Director of Education and the Social Impact Director. And I just want to stop one moment and let you guys know that all of these roles, no matter where you are, where you're serving, because we're in an embryonic stage, we're at the very beginning and we're doing a lot of foundation, you're going to anticipate spending at least 40 hours a month in these roles. Once we start getting processes together and we start getting people onboarded and we get these committees onboarded, it'll go down to 20, 25 hours. But if you're going to be at a senior vice president or vice president level, because not only does that assist you in your career development, it does take time to be able to properly do these roles. So the Director of Education, they develop and implement onboarding training for volunteers and students. This is near and dear to my heart, because this person is essentially sometimes the first point of contact for people who are saying, hey, I'm interested in volunteering. And understand that there's two types of volunteers. We're going to have our student volunteers, and we're going to have our internship programs, and people that are going to be coming through the Handshake platform, and then we're going to have people who may come in through an internship program that their hours need to be logged, whether it be a weekly or monthly basis, so that they can get their internship hours to complete their education. As well as you have the standard volunteer that's somewhere in their career, or maybe they are not an intern and they just need to be routed over to the right department, as well as receive their initial BEPA training. So the Director of Education also connects with the academic institutions to establish these internship pipelines. So this person is going to be a go-getter. They're going to be reaching out to ASU, NAU, Go Lumberjacks, and they're going to be reaching out to Grand Canyon University, U of A, the community colleges, and yes, even the high schools. This is going to be someone that's going to be front-facing. This person may be going to career fairs on a regular basis, connecting with people and letting them know all about BEPA, as well as they'll probably do a lot of things with our membership committee as well. They're going to chair the student intern onboarding committee. That means that they're going to oversee it, but we're going to have other people and volunteers also working in those committees. But the Director of Education's signature will be required on making sure that these student interns are meeting their criteria within this organization, so that they can get what they need to satisfy their academic programs. The Director of Education is also the chair of the Volunteer Onboarding Committee. Again, I said these are two different types of pipelines. And the Director of Education is a member of the Board of Directors Committee. Social Impact Director. Love, love, love this role. The Social Impact Director develops and implements community programs. When we talk about community programs, we're talking about anything, any initiative, I must say, that is developed with our mission in mind. It's the action behind what we're doing. So when we say we want to assist 100,000 Black meeting professionals by 2036, the Social Impact Director is in charge of developing and implementing. Oh, and when I say development, that doesn't mean creating all the ideas, but once the board decides on the initiatives, helping cultivate those programs and implementing those community programs. Obviously, we talked about two of those programs that we have. So that person is going to be a chair of the Generational Curse Breakers Anonymous Committee. Again, will they be doing all the work? No, but they will be the person that connects with all of the different committees and initiatives, whether it be the 24-hour, we might end up having, and I can see it. We're most likely going to have a 24-hour online virtual chat room where people can talk with each other. I'm on a platform called Bigo all the time, and I don't know whether that will be the platform, whatever the platform will be, but it will be an online platform. Will someone be available 24 hours? One person? Absolutely not. It may end up being a few people who come in at different blocks of time that do that. And being the Social Impact Director, you're going to be having those recurring meetings with them, making sure that they have what they need so that when you're at the board, you can advocate for them and those programs. The Social Impact Director is also the chair of the Generational Curse Breakers CMP Scholarship Program. How are we electing these people? Making sure, that committee is creating a process so that we're honoring those people at the annual awards gala. So the Social Impact Director is the chair of this, not doing all of this, but overseeing that process. I want to say this again, that if you're at a director level, vice president level, and senior vice president level or higher, your role is to supervise, support, and implement strategy. And your main focus is supporting the people who work on your committees and coaching them and breathing energy and life into them so that they can be their best person, so that they could in 2 years say, I'd love to be the Social Impact Director because that person supported me so well. I think I could be in there. I would love to be the Director of Education. Oh, you know what? I'm really thinking about maybe being the president of this organization. How can someone really aspire to do that if they're not receiving the support they need. So we really don't want anyone in these roles that want to do it all. We want people in these roles that want to do work, yes, but we want to work smarter, not harder, and we believe in the ebb and flow of helping others and cultivating others, right? And the social impact director, if I didn't say this before, they are a member of the board of directors committee. So I have the a vote in that as well. So we're going to get over to the finance department. You can't be a nonprofit organization without a way to have a strategic pipeline as to what we're doing with the funds, and being able to speak to that to our donors. We want to make sure that we're on an up and up. So we have the senior vice president of finance. The senior vice president of finance, this person, let me just start off by saying this. This person has to be, whether they're retired or in the profession, they have to be either a certified accountant, a licensed accountant, or they have to have a wealth of experience in accounting, because their role is to oversee the financial oversight, budgeting, and tax return preparation for the organization. And yes, they're going to be supervising the vice presidents in this organization, who will be supervising the directors in this organization that are in the finance department. But this person will have to have extensive treasury experience, someone that's good with numbers, and someone that is responsible enough to be able to be on our bank account, someone that we trust. So the senior vice president of finance will be probably one of the very few people that we will have to do some type of extensive background check and make sure that that role is there. Too many times we've seen where organizations haven't really paid much attention to this piece, and this is critical. So what we're looking for is someone who loves what they do. They love accounting. They love numbers. They love being able to see something grow, but they have a lot of insight in, figuring out how to grow an organization, and they love our mission. And they believe in our mission. And so they're willing to do this work as our senior vice president of finance. This is someone I will be working with very closely, very, very closely, as we grow over the next 2 years. The senior VP of finance also mentors the finance related leadership in the whole organization. So example, the VP of business development, right? They're going to, the VP of anyone else that is in the finance department. They are a voting member of the executive committee, as well as a voting member as the board of directors committee. I can't stress enough that all of the roles in a board is all about making sure that you are doing what you love to do, but always looking at what is the plan once you're no longer in that role in a few years, right? The senior vice president of finance may be one of the very few roles that we put in our bylaws if that person has a great financial acumen and that person loves what they're doing, because it's so much harder to get that role. That may be something once we become a board we talk about doing longer terms. I don't know. That's up to the board. But the senior vice president of finance is one of the most important roles in this organization. The VP of business development, this person is our go-getter. I love this role. This is a role that after I'm the immediate past president, I can see myself doing personally. This person develops sponsorship programs and corporate partnerships. Most of this person's job is to reach out to other organizations and let them know that, hey, you would serve an amazing purpose by contributing as a donor, as a sponsor to BEPA, whether that be in-kind sponsorships for, hotels, or different, vendors, and creating those tiered sponsorship and then donations, right? They're going to be the person that connects with these sponsors and donors, and they're going to be signing the contracts. Whether that be a financial contract, whether that be an in-kind contract, and that person will be developing those contracts since we're a starter up, right? That person also chairs the sponsor and partnerships committee. We're going to have a whole committee that's going to help with managing those sponsors and partnerships, but that person is going to be over making sure that those committees have what they need, or addressing any gaps in maybe how we're serving our sponsors. Maybe some of our sponsors are giving the feedback, well, hey, I think we could get more time to present at our annual awards gala. That's pivotal. So being the chair of the sponsorship and partner committee is great for the vice president of business development, because that person is going to keep that in mind as they create those new tiered sponsorship programs, and that would be brought to the board for the board to decide on and approve, or request an amendment of. So the vice president of business development is a member of the executive committee, obviously as a vice president, and a member of the board of directors. This person is going to have a great relationship with the senior vice president of finance, since the senior vice president of finance is always talking about where they see us in the next few years and our strategy and plan. The vice president of business and development is always going to talk about where we currently are, as far as that goes. And that committee that they chair, they're going to have certain people who will possibly be pushing out emails on their behalf, and helping them schedule appointments, since they're going to be out in the field a lot, connecting and being a front-facing person, taking those meetings with our sponsors and our potential donors. So we have the director of corporate giving and the director of membership, who work directly under the vice president of corporate giving. The vice president of corporate giving also supervises the director of corporate giving and the director of membership, and this all goes hand in hand, because if you are the vice president of business development, how can you speak to our sponsors as to what we have and what programs we have if you're not really talking with membership as to what's going on, or our corporate giving department, which is always talking about our sponsors and things like that? So our director of corporate giving, they lead the fundraising initiatives, including raffles and auctions. This is so pivotal, because we're going to have a lot of events, whether they're paid or not paid, but almost always we're going to probably try to generate revenue by having a raffle or some type of auction. Well, most of those raffles and auctions, all of those are going to be donations, whether it's in-kind donations from other sponsors, like it could be staycations, it could be giveaways from our other members who are providing in-kind donations, right? So the director of corporate giving will lead those initiatives. That means that if someone like the VP of education is saying, hey, I want to do a auction for one of our programs, they're going to connect with the director of corporate giving, and that person is responsible for communicating with all the other departments as to what donations we have to raise funds, and keeping these things up to date, and a list of these things. The director of corporate giving's job is that once the VP of business development signs those contracts with the donors and sponsors, the director of corporate giving is now the concierge. They serve as the concierge of all the donors and the sponsors. That means that, maybe Hyatt reaches out and says, hey, I want to know if we can host a sponsored, a Hyatt event for, your members. Oh, okay. Well, you do get, for example, you may get 4 of those a year, giving what type of, partnership or sponsorship we have. The director of corporate giving knows this. because they house and have access to all of the contracts. They know when renewals are up. They're reaching out to the sponsors and donors on renewals and seeing the VP of business development, and they're keeping things together. And whenever, let's say, someone's saying, I'd rather not continue to sponsor or donate, they're going to route that over to the VP of business development. And they're the chair of the raffles and auctions committee. They're the chair of the grants committee. Let's talk about the grant committee for a little bit. The grant committee is amazing. We will have grant writers. We will have grant reporters. And these people, their committee is another way that we talk about our financial strategy, right? You know, we talk about how do we generate revenue? Well, we raise funds. We look for donations, right? But we're also going to be looking for grants, and we're going to be developing grants to give funding. And so the Director of Corporate Giving will be chairing those committees. The Director of Corporate Giving will be also a member, voting member of the Board of Directors Committee. The Director of Membership, love the Director of Membership. We're talking about someone who's going to be an outgoing personality, somebody that loves to network and connect people, someone that believes in this mission, okay? This person is focused on recruitment and retention of our members. What's bringing our members in and what's keeping them, you know? And this person is going to develop campaigns to meet membership goals. So that person is going to say, hey, I have an idea on how we could retain members. And because they're chairing the membership committee, they don't have to figure it all out. That committee is going to come up with these ideas, and they vote on them, and then the Director of Membership will bring it to our board, and we'd vote on it. You know, we say, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. The Director of Membership also is the member of Board of Directors, a voting member of the Board of Directors. Understand, the Director of Membership is when people email, you know, membership@blackeventprofessionals.org. Hey, what's this membership about? Hey, I'm a student. Do I qualify? All those things. That person will be answering those questions from that email. Now, in the finance department, we still have the vice president of special events and fundraising. This is something near and dear to my heart because I love events that are revenue generating, but I love events that are revenue generating, but that also have a impact on our community. Give me one of those any day. One of the best examples of this is what the Thunderbirds do. The Thunderbirds, if anyone knows, is a philanthropic organization that hosts something called the Phoenix Open. Formerly the Phoenix Open, but now it's called the Waste Management Open. That's one of the largest revenue generating events in the state of Arizona. And that money goes right to the Thunderbirds, who do amazing things throughout the community. And this opened my eyes as to how we can have an impact on a large level and create amazing things for people. And they may or may not know where that money goes, but all they know is that they had an amazing time. The vice president of special events and fundraising is someone who believes in that. They believe in creating high impact experiences for the people who comes to our events. They believe in having events that wow people, that create an experience that people want to share on their social media platforms because they can believe that they were there. At the whole time, all the money generated is going right back to our mission to help 100,000 Black media professionals. So the vice president of special events and fundraising, they coordinates all of the paid fundraisers. So the BEPA events, including the annual conference. This is big. This person's role, majorly, initially, is going to be coordinating the annual conference. That's going to be a big feat. Let me just start off by letting you guys know ahead of time. As we start to talk about annual conference when we get there, everything's going to shut down for about 3 months. We're going to have our calendars blocked as we ramp up. Everybody, all hands on deck, all committees. Yes, we're going to continue to work towards future things, but for the most part, all committees are going to be focused on our annual conference. The goal is that our annual conference is going to be one of our largest revenue generating fundraiser events. And a vice president of special events and fundraising, this is their event. This is their thing, okay? And they develop event calendar and they supervise the event logistics on all of the committees. So to give you an example, their whole job is to coordinate the annual conference, but they'll be overseeing the director of special events who will oversee other committees that, for other events. And we'll get to that as we talk about the director of special events. The vice president of special events and fundraising, and they're the main chair of the annual conference. There is another second chair that's going to help them, because I believe that we need 2 people committed all year. All their focus is on the annual conference and annual conference planning and getting everybody else in the organization onboarded as to what their role will be. For instance, as the president of BEPA and being over the annual awards gala, the vice president of special events and fundraising will be letting me know, what I need to be doing as far as that committee. I'll be reporting to them, as far as what I have, and they'll be letting me know, hey, well, the venue says between this time and that time. So pretty much supervising me, although I will be coordinating the whole award ceremony, they have that oversight. They're going to let me know what works, what doesn't work, and if what I'm visualizing as the theme this year, whether or not that aligns with what the annual conference committee wants, right? So I will have to submit all of that to them. And they would approve that. So the special events and fundraising VP is all about, they are the producer of the annual conference. I know I keep saying that, but I cannot stress that enough. They are the member of the executive committee, so they have a voting rights at the executive committee, as well as a member of the board of directors committee. They will also have an annual conference committee with volunteers all throughout the year, that will be helping them with different pieces of the annual conference. And obviously, I'm going to be serving on the committee as well as the VP-elect as members of the annual awards gala, being the chair of that committee. I will be serving the VP of special events as well. And then we're going to move over to director of special events. The director of special events, they're all over the paid events. And again, you guys, I know earlier I stated that the VP of special events and fundraising, they're over all of the paid events and annual conference. They don't coordinate all of the paid events. They only coordinate annual conference, but they directly supervise the director of special events, who is over the other fundraising initiatives throughout the year. And let me tell you something, the director of special events is, they're my jam. And I see a typo here. It really is director of special events and fundraising, but I will update that. But no worries, it's still the same role. But the director of special events and fundraising, their job is to oversee the different committees for all of the other fundraising initiatives all year, whether it be a holiday party, whether it be whatever our DEI committee says that that based off of surveys of our members, we should do to potentially generate revenue. And obviously they're a chair over those special events committee. They manage logistics for all the special events, including vendor contracts. And they're a member of the board of directors committee. Director of special events needs to be someone that is willing, that is able to manage a bunch of events from a higher level. This isn't someone that's doing everything, but they are over, let's say there's 4 events a year that we're generating revenue. Let's say we're doing a holiday party. Let's say that we're doing another smaller educational event. And let's say we're doing a fashion show. And let's say we're doing an adult prom. this person isn't coordinating all of this. Maybe it's one thing that they love to do, so they're coordinating it as the lead coordinator, but their only responsibility as the as the director of special events and fundraising is to oversee the committees. So what that means is that each committee is saying, hey, well, we're going to do this at this place, we're going to do this at this time, we're going to use these in-kind sponsors. And the director of special events job is, when they submit these things, to oversee them and make sure that they route these, they oversee those contracts, and they route these contracts over to the right department to get those signatures, and they're checking in on these events from a bird's eye view and making sure that these benchmarks are being met within a certain amount of time. And then this is going to be someone who has several years experience in events. This is someone that understands the ebb and flow of events, whether it be, okay, well, 3 months out, we need to have this, and this done. Whoever's in his role is going to be the first person in his role, so they're going to be creating our event checklist, our generic event checklist, right? Which will have a list of someone who may not have that much experience, want to be an event planner. This is the perfect department for them to serve under, as the director of special events. Oh, I never had experience in being an event planner. I want to be an event planner, and now I'm over our adult prom. It's a little scary. Well, the director of special events is going to say, oh, I know it's scary, but they have a meeting with them. This is what you're going to do over this much time, and this is how you're going to log these communications. You're going to CC me in these communications, and the director of special events may create some templates that are helpful. These are some email templates you can use to reach out to these different people, and as you meet these guidelines, we're going to check in with each other within this much time, so that way we make sure that you're reaching where you need to, and at any time you need any assistance, you're going to let me know. The director of special events job is not to coordinate these events. Again, it is their job to oversee the logistics and the implementation of these, and that benchmarks are being met, and that the person who is coordinating these, along with the committee members that are helping, are doing the work, and they're learning and they're growing in their role, because one day they may very well want to be in that seat. So let's talk about the annual conference director. The annual conference director's job is annual conference all year. The only difference between the annual conference director and why the vice president of special events and fundraising are different is because the vice president of special events and fundraising, they not only coordinate the conference all year, but they supervise all of the directors in the finance department, and they report to the senior vice president on these benchmarks, right? The annual conference director co-lead the annual conference alongside the VP of special events. So they work hand in hand. However, the vice president of special events and fundraising, they are the main chair. The annual conference director is the second chair. That does not mean that one person is better than the other, but it's important that seniority is understood, because as the committee grows, we want the annual conference director, if they're really interested in a senior role, to elevate and get up to that vice president of special events role. The annual conference director is the second chair, as I said, of the annual conference committee, as well as a voting member of the board of directors. So now we have the marketing department. Let me tell you, I love the marketing department. Love y'all. Love y'all ahead of time. Love you. Because marketing is so important, okay? And how we brand ourselves, how we get our message across, given that it needs to align with our vision, our mission, and where we're going. Love the marketing department. So we have the senior vice president of marketing. This person is all about developing a strategic marketing plan to enhance BEPA's brand. Okay. This person is going to be presenting at our, we're going to have different, board retreats and things like that, but this person is going to be developing what's our initiative over the next 2 years. right? What's our initiative over the next so many years, 2, 5, whatever? What's our slogan? What are we about? What are we growing? What are we into right now? They also supervise the communication and social media efforts of the organization. Sorry, you guys, I keep getting calls, but as I'm recording this, I'm trying my best to make sure that I'm managing this at the same time. But also, they also chair the newsletter and public publications committee. So they are chair, so they're over the newsletter and publications, because you can't be the senior vice president of marketing and know where we're going if you don't know how we're pushing and communicating our newsletters and our publications to the public. I would say whoever's in this position is someone that has a large business analytical or business analytics, marketing, journalism, and advertising acumen. They're going to be a member of the executive committee and a member of the board of directors committee. So then we have the vice president of communications, who the senior vice president of marketing supervises, right? The vice president of communications is all about how we communicate with other people. This is going to be someone who is a journalism major, someone who's well written, they're good with proofreading. This might be our writers, might be someone in screenwriting, someone that loves communicating things in text to other people, and they're going to be responsible for, they're going to be responsible for maintaining the e-newsletter and resource library. So we are going to have a resource library that I've spoken about a few times. That resource library is going to hold all kinds of things. So education committee will submit, all of their events that are recorded to resource library. But the vice president of communications job is making sure that looks good, that's being maintained properly, that it adheres to our branding standards. They're going to be working with the VP of social media to making sure that we have our different templates that the VP of communications will be using to give out to the other departments, so that they have, the logo done properly on different webinars, right? We may be using what is it called? StreamYard, I believe. But we'll be using different platforms, so making sure that all those things are up to date. Not doing them or executing them, but making sure that everything that we use to communicate whether it be our webinars and everything, that all of those logos and things are together, and that everything that's housed is connected, on our platforms. This person oversees communication related committees. Our newsletter and things like that, they're going to be in those committees. They're going to serve on the newsletter and publication committee, and they're going to help overseeing that, as well as assisting the senior vice president of anything that is the communication piece. Because how we market and strategize, or what our mission is different than how we actually communicate it, what we're saying, how we're saying it on written text and social media. This person is also a member of the executive committee, as well as a member of the board of directors committee. Then we're going to get to the vice president of social media. What would we do without you? Our VP of social media is someone who's outgoing, somebody who knows these platforms in and out, and if they don't know, they are excited about figuring it out. They oversee BEPA social media platforms and branding materials. This person is our gatekeeper to all of our social media platforms. This person has the passwords and all the info, okay? So when something needs to be done or posted or initiative, that person is posting. Obviously, the VP of communications is posting the newsletters and things like that, but the VP of social media is the person that's pushing those little nuggets that the senior vice president of marketing has collected from the DEI committee and what the board needs, right? So the vice president of social media is the chair of the content creator committee. And let me tell y'all something. I'm so excited about the content creator committee. Because the content creator committee is comprised of people who love to do graphic art. They love creating content. So their job, these are volunteers, they're creating. So let me just give you an example of how this works. We have the content creator committee, and it's filled with people who are ready to create flyers and create different kind of graphic art and different kinds of videos and fun things and skits or whatever. Any kind of media that would create buzz or be an initiative of ours. And the vice president of social media will be over that committee. So the vice president of social media will say, hey, our annual conference is coming up, and we're going to need a flyer that's going to or a graphic art that's going to capture our vision for annual conference. Well, the content creator committee will be creating those things, and they'll create maybe 3 or 4 things that the vice president of social media will say, okay, I love this. Now I'm going to take this to our meeting so we can present it to the board and see what the board says. Right? So the vice president of social media is someone that is going to be a member of the executive committee and a member of the board of directors. So let's talk about the organization from a bird's eye view, okay? So as you guys see, you have our office of the president, where we have the president, the vice president-elect, and the immediate past president. But then you have the chief administrative officer and their elect, who serves these 3 positions. The CAO and the CEO elect will do all the scheduling, calendars, and they're kind of the gatekeepers of all of our critical documents and processes, as well as our agenda items. And again, the chief administrative officer elect oversees the different technologies that we have. Then you have the senior vice president of DEI, senior vice president of finance, and a senior vice president of marketing, and their concurrent departments. Under the senior vice president of DEI, that person is going to say strategize. They're all about strategy. Understand, all senior vice presidents are all about strategy. Where are we going, and how are we measuring it, and keeping note of where we are in that process, and supporting our vice presidents. And our vice presidents are responsible for supervising all of our directors, and making sure that our directors are supported as they oversee the committees. But let's take a little second here. If you notice, we have the VP of Education, and then VP of Business Development, VP of Special Events and Fundraising, VP of Communication, and then VP of Social Media. And then we have just the DEI committee. Well, remember when I told you guys that I'm a big believer in diversity, equity, and inclusion, but it has to be in how we do everything. Well, the reason why the DEI committee is right here in the vice president level is because it's comprised of volunteers who want to be a part of collecting information from our stakeholders and other members to see how we're becoming and growing and cultivating a vision of being a truly diverse, equitable, and inclusive environment, internally and externally. Well, the reason why the DEI committee is there is because it's comprised of those very volunteers, as well as it's comprised of at least one member of each of our departments. Because who else is going to be able to tell the senior vice president of DEI, which the senior vice president of DEI is the person who creates all of our, creates and develops all of our board retreats and educational opportunities, right? What we need, if it's not at least one person, there could be more, but at least one person from each department. We let someone volunteer, of course, but if no one volunteers, then we will vote as a board as to who that person would be and put that directly in their roles and responsibilities to just be on this committee and give insight as to what the department believes is good for creating an equitable workplace for them. And then we have all of our directors, and our directors are so important in making sure that we, are, going in the right direction with our initiatives. They're supervising these different initiatives and chairs. As you see here, there are no directors in marketing, but that doesn't mean that we won't grow into that. But at where we are currently, we don't necessarily need that. But the content creator committee is key. So we have the social impact director and a director of education that reports directly to the VP of education. But under the social impact director, we have the Generation Curse Breakers Anonymous committee and the BEPA CMP committee. Under the director of education, we have the student intern and onboarding committees, as well as we have the volunteer onboarding committee. Then under the VP of business development, you have the director of corporate giving, who oversees the raffles auction committee and a grants committee. Then you have the director of membership, who is over the membership committee. Then under the VP of Special Events and Fundraising, because remember, VP of Business Development is all about making sure that we're capturing and grabbing our sponsors and donors and our membership, right? That's one type of, funnel of finance. But VP of Special Events and Financing is creating experiences that generate revenue. So we have the Director of Special Events under the VP of Special Events, and then we have the Annual Conference Director. And under the annual conference director is the annual conference committee. Under the director of special events is the special events committee. And that is our organizational overview currently. Keep in mind that all of this, including what we do and how we do it, is governed directly by our board of directors. So let's talk about our strategic business plan. Short term, right now we're just bringing in amazing people. Hopefully someone like you that loves pushing the needle for other people of color, especially people in the events industry, our suppliers, our planners, whether you're a hairstylist or you're a real estate agent, whether, you're someone that is in counseling or behavioral health, whether you're someone who, is in catering, or, you may be someone directly tied to events. You may be an event venue. You are passionate about making sure that we're not just asking for a seat at the table, that we have built our own table, okay? And our short-term goals in this strategic business plan is to build a membership base and to create community awareness. Host smaller educational and networking events to start, right? We're not going to just lead with an annual conference. We have to build to that. And leading up to the annual conference. And we're going to solidify the Generational Curse Breakers Anonymous and CMP Scholarship Program. So we need to create how exactly it works, how those programs are strategized. But short term, we want to make sure that everyone in the previous positions that I showed you in those org charts, that we're fully staffed. That is our biggest initiative, making sure we're fully staffed with people who are passionate about what we're doing and we're working to get there. Long term, we're going to host a successful annual conference, generating the most of the annual funds. We're going to address housing, training, and workplace trauma counseling needs. Let me just be honest with you guys. We're not going to be just Black event professionals in Arizona. We're going to be Black event professionals of America. And we're not just going to be, a connection resource for event professionals. We're going to be a resource center for Black professionals regardless, whether you want to become a professional, whether you are a professional, whether you just need a little help of the way, or you need crisis help, whether you need workplace training, workplace counseling. Y'all, I close my eyes and I envision a resource center that you walk into. Maybe you're in careers, maybe you're going to change careers. Maybe, you're looking for work. Maybe you're in crisis. You just recently, maybe you went through an issue like, look at what just happened in California. Maybe, you've lost your home, or you're in an economic crisis and you need rental assistance, or you need something along the way. Can you imagine walking into somewhere that says, we got you? We got you. You know what? You need help filling out your department DES application for food stamps, or you need help filling out applications for other state programs, we will help you. You need help getting a little help along the way. Maybe you're in between a job and you just need a little rental assistance. We got you. Maybe you're contemplating suicide because you're an executive and you've dealt with so much trauma within the workplace. Dealt with so much workplace trauma, you don't know who else to turn to, and you've heard that we have different programs designed, whether it be we have counselors available to help you with, overcoming that trauma. We got you. Maybe you want to get your PhD and you're not sure what educational program to go through. Well, guess what? We're connected with all the universities. We got you. Maybe you want to be an event planner more than anything else, and you don't know how to. We got you. This is who we are. This is where we are going to be, and this is who we're going to become. We're going to have a resource center in every state, and we got you. And that's what we're going to be. That is who we are, and that is who we're going to be. And if you believe in that, you believe in establishing a comprehensive resource center to support Black event professionals and help them with assistance. And, you believe in evolving into a resource center that addresses everyone in every state. You believe in a bigger vision for us. We need you. And I challenge you to be a volunteer. I challenge you to help with what we're doing. Understand that all of our roles, whether it be, president or just a volunteer chair, those are free, those are non-paid positions. But they will provide you with the business development that you need to grow yourself and to grow your resume, right? In addition to that, that won't always be it. Eventually, my goal is to have all of those positions paid positions, except for certain positions that are higher up. The office of the president shouldn't be getting paid. And there are certain roles that shouldn't be getting paid. But all the others, those should be paid roles. My goal also is to make this organization one that if you work for us for 10 years, once we are a paid organization, that you get reimbursement, federal reimbursement for working with us for so much time. Like when I tell you, there is no ceiling to what we can do as an organization. There is none. So I challenge you to do that work with us. Yes, you have to be a member to do work. Yes, it is paid membership. But no, I'm not requiring that anyone coming in and, is to, if they're going through something, is to pay that starting. The membership right now is really accessible for those who believe in the vision and want to pay for the membership because they know where this money is going and what we're going to be doing. But eventually we will have a stipend where if you need it, you won't have to pay for your membership, but we will require for no matter who you are to be paying for the annual membership, depending on what it would be. It probably would be cheaper if you're an employee, of course, right? It might start where if before we do, paid positions, it might start our membership where we're paying, we can only do the stipend for membership. But understand that getting started means that you not only believe in a vision, you're going to be, paying for an annual membership to be a volunteer. Yeah, it's cheaper if you're a student, but you're still going to be paying for that membership annually. In addition to that, you're going to be paying for the events that you attend to. The goal is that if you're working the annual conference, you don't have to pay for the annual conference. But if you're in a different department and you just want to attend the annual conference and you're not direct help, yeah, you'll get a really cool, discount eventually as being, a board member or being a volunteer. But for now, we all have to contribute. So I'm looking for someone who believes in our vision, is willing to pay for that annual membership, $24 right now, willing to volunteer their time and willing to pay, believe in a vision, willing to pay for the very events that they're coordinating, because that's what it's going to take for us to get ourselves where we need to be. But I took enough of your time. I hope that you have any questions whatsoever, that you reach out to me. And I want you to join us in making an impact. I want you to become a member, even if you decide that you don't want to do all that. Oh, I don't want to volunteer. Just become a member, and give us time to show you what this membership can do for you. We are at the beginning phase. Partner with us, donate, or volunteer to support our mission. And to contact us, you can always go to our website at blackeventprofessionals.org, or you can always email us at info@blackeventprofessionals.org. I want to thank you so much for your time with me today, and I hope to see you guys very soon, whether it's at one of our events, whether it's as a volunteer, a donor, or sponsor, a like, a share, a repost, or a well wish. I'm just full of gratefulness for the opportunity to be able to take your time today. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.